Good evening. This is going to be something else, something odd. I hear my audio. Oh, it's coming out of my speakers over there now. This is going to be a strange night, but that's okay. We're going to talk a little bit about Darryl Anka. We're going to talk a little bit about what the government thinks of Armageddon. We're going to talk more about what Trump says about the war in Iran. This is all strange stuff that's happening right now, and I believe that it kind of flows into our understanding of Bible prophecy. And we're going to look and see what other people believe about this stuff as well. Three-Eye Atlas actually comes up in this program, as well as other predictions by an economist. Stay tuned.
The system is totally rigged and broken.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the SA. My gosh.
Demonstrated will declare themselves to be inhabitants of far distant planets in the galaxy that are coming to warn the inhabitants of planet Earth of the impending destruction of the planet.
It is now 85 seconds to midnight. This is the closest the world has ever been to midnight.
I still think these are what people call angels. I'm dying to know what they've got to say.
Pretty severe suffering brings them.
These entities have the ability to appear in any form.
Welcome to Strange Normal. My name is Bradley. We talk about the stranger things that are happening in your normal life to give you a biblical understanding of what is going on. And there's a lot going on. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell icon so you're notified when things like this happen. Folks, if you sound different tonight, it is different because this is a different night. We have a little bit of audio trouble and we have a lot of rain happening. People ask me, are you in your garage? Kind of. I'm above the garage right now. And that's kind of where the rain sound comes from, and it's just going to have to be like that for now. But let's jump into the show tonight. I think it's important to note here that Darryl Anka, who channels this thing called Bashar, it's definitely a demonic spirit. We've looked at this in the past, and he tries to predict the future about this whole revealing that is supposed to happen. That has been prophesied by the Bible about spiritualism at the end of time, test the spirits, and also by Ellen White, who I believe is a real prophet of God. And she says that this will happen at the end of time. Spiritualism will come upon the earth. But he talks about it, and he says, you know what? Spiritualism right now is handling this stuff, all this war stuff that's happening right now. It's handling it as a rubber band to make something happen. Have you ever used a rubber band, wrapped it around your hand, and shot it at something? That's exactly what he's talking about here, and we're about to be shot off into Wonderland. All right, so let's watch this real quick. I have to mute myself while I watch this because I don't have audio correct tonight, but we're going to watch it anyway. This is Darryl Anka. It's a little bit of a longer 2-minute clip. Watch this. It's bizarre.
I do think it's interesting to have a sense that the tension in the world is increasing and the polarity is increasing, and that countries are unsure what relationship they have to each other, and they seem like they're gearing up.
Yes.
Does Bashar say anything about how this will culminate, where this is going?
Well, it'll eventually snap. People will reach a point where enough is enough, and they will finally do something about it. So again, we can use this to our advantage. Bashar often refers to this as the rubber band analogy. The farther back you pull a rubber band, when you finally let go, it'll fly that much farther and faster in the opposite direction. So basically, he's saying the farther back you pull this rubber band into negativity, when you finally let go, it finally snaps, it'll fly that much faster and farther into the light, into a positive reality. So we can use the momentum of all the buildup in the negative side of things that are happening to actually propel and push us into the positive side much more quickly, because when it finally snaps, it'll change relatively fast.
And I'm going to pause it right here just for a second. You know, this guy, he's talking about the positive side of things as if it is positive, and that's how they're playing it, right? It's going to be a positive side of things. We're going to bring ourselves into this world, and you're going to see us for the first time. It's not going to be positive for God's remnant. I want to make that absolutely clear. But he's saying that this is going to propel everything forward. And if their timeline is correct, you know, these are lying spirits. They don't even know what can happen in the future, but they do calculate, and they have been calculating for a long time. Like, for instance, a long time ago, Alice Bailey, was it, used to say that in all probability, 2025 would be the externalization of the hierarchy. Well, she doesn't know. They don't know. But she said in all probability it might be. And so if you follow what the current model of spiritualism is today, it has gone over into the UFL realm. And this guy is a guy that channels this thing professionally. He goes and does these presentations professionally. And I believe he really does have something come into him. And they're saying, you know, this is a 2027 thing. Everybody is saying this. There must be 10 different ufologists, if you want to call them that, more like entertainers on the news talking about this stuff. And they said there's something strange about 2027. That might change. I'm not going to say that because I told you I would never talk about 2027 again, and here I am talking about it again. But watch what else Darryl says about this. I'm going to continue it.
So we're using that momentum to our advantage, or we can do so, as long as people are willing to step up and do things that will help others, that will serve humanity, that will make changes. As long as they're willing to act, then things will change. Now, of course, we'll be given opportunities to really explore a number of different things we've never really been given an opportunity to explore before when we have open contact, because then it will be kind of like, and I certainly don't mean this in a judgmental way, but it's a relatively apt analogy. It's like we're a bunch of children that are squabbling and having tantrums. And finally the ETs show up, and it's like the adults have entered the room and said, that's enough. You need to get along. You need to learn how to manage your planet. You need to learn how to manage yourselves for the benefit of all. Stop fighting, stop squabbling, stop throwing tantrums, stop feeling less than. This is the way the universe works. We're here to help you. We're here to tell you it's time you grew up. It's time you learned your lessons. It's time to move forward. That's my interpretation of what's happening with open contact. The adults are stepping into the room.
See, that's what I always forget to do. This is exactly what I thought would happen. The expectation is that, to make themselves look like they are the good guy in this whole situation, they got to save us from something. So they say, oh, look, we've been managing you guys for thousands and thousands of years, and God is good. We've just been managing you. We are the good beings, the angels. We are what you would consider angels, but the atheists consider ET on earth here. And we want to help you out. We want to stop your tantrums. Come on, leaders. Everyone in this leadership is a mess. We got to fix that. In fact, we've given you, this is what they say, they're going to give us this holographic understanding of history so that we can look for ourselves and see what true history has been. Lies. It's going to be half truth and half lies, just enough to show us how much they care about humanity so that things can happen according to how they want. This has happened in the past. It will happen in the future. You go to the Great Controversy, read 552, 556. That book is incredible about Christian history and Christian prophecy. It goes and explains exactly that this has happened in the past. This whole we're ET thing, yeah, that's in there, and it'll happen in the future. Look it up. it talks about in the Hebrew days in 556. It talks about in the future in 552. How do I know that? Because I've said it quite a bit on this channel. Okay, so let's move on here. I want to look into a little bit further about what the government thinks about Armageddon. I did a whole video. You guys might have already seen it. Produced video, maybe just 5 minutes long, talking about this stuff. But if you don't watch 5-minute videos on YouTube, it's not going to show it to you because that's how the algorithm works. And a lot of people on this channel watch long-form videos. And
Jonathan Larson reports that U.S. troops were being told that the U.S.-Israeli attack on Iran was in preparation for Armageddon and also the return of Jesus. Jank, is this comforting information for you?
No.
A combat unit commander told non-commissioned officers at a briefing Monday that the Iran war is part of God's plan and that President Donald Trump was anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon and mark his return to Earth. And that is according to a non-commissioned officer. So we'll talk more about whatever that even means later. But between Saturday and Monday, more than 110 complaints had been logged by the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, or the MRFF, regarding the rhetoric about commanders in every branch of military.
Interesting, right? So you have a holy war that's being waged by your own government here, and who's pushing that? You got to wonder who in the world is telling them that this is a holy war or that this is Armageddon that they're going into. And by the way, think about this. When is Armageddon? I think you're going to be surprised at when it is. We're going to reveal that tonight because we did a poll earlier this week. You should go check that out. Go to the post sections of Strange Normal's YouTube page, and you should vote tonight. The poll is very interesting, and I'm going to explain why tonight. But first, I thought we'd go into what is Armageddon? What is it? And where is it mentioned in the Bible? A lot of people actually got this wrong, I noticed. It's okay if you did. I had to learn a little bit more about it. But Revelation 16 is what we talk about quite a bit on this channel because it deals with the spiritualism that's going to come upon the world. Two of the biggest deceptions that are going to happen. Revelation 13 talks about worship. Revelation 16 talks about the major spiritualism deception. And while many of the Christian world will be deceived by the understanding of worship, I think in combination, the big deception that's coming in very physical form, not as mental as the Sabbath, will be absolutely spiritualism. And so I harp a lot on this channel, but let's just go over to Revelation 16 real quick. I think I'm going to bring this up as big as I can so we can read this together. Can we do this? Yes, we can. Okay, let's bring this up like this. You can read this together with me. Hopefully there's no ads like I had last time. This is not 16. Okay, let's go back one. Let's scroll down here to where I kind of start talking about spiritualism on this channel. It says on 13, then I saw three impure. What in the world are we in? Impure? Oh, we're in the non-inspired version. I'm going to change at least the New King James. Okay, there we go. Let's go down to 13 here. And then I saw three unclean spirits like frogs coming out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. Checking my audio to make sure I'm still streaming here. For they are spirits of demons performing signs which go out to the kings of the earth and to the whole world to gather them to the battle of the great day of God Almighty. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he who watches and keeps his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. Okay, so what's it saying? Be holy, therefore, for thou art God holy. So make sure, in other words, look, God is coming, and it's going to be a surprise. Yeah, you better, you know exactly what the Bible says about this stuff. You've had 6,000 years of humanity to really understand it, and books of ancient history to understand truth. Make sure you understand what's going to happen next, is what that's 15 is saying. 16, and they gathered them together to a place called in Hebrew called Armageddon. This is the only place in the entire Bible that it mentions Armageddon. And yet this word has become synonymous with all kinds of stuff. And look what we're between. We're between the 6th bowl and we're between the 7th bowl right here. So keep that in mind just for a second for you to understand where Armageddon actually is in history. We're going to go over Revelation 20 also tonight, which is where a lot of people think Armageddon is. But let's start there first. That's Revelation 16. So where do people get this idea that Armageddon, of what Armageddon is? Well, let me show you real quick. Maybe if I can. Where is my items? There they are. This is where they get it from. What is this? Wow, I thought the graphics back in the, what is that, the 90s, the 2000s, early 2000s were a little bit better than that. Actually, I think I've seen better graphics from our church productions now than a movie that was produced a long time ago. By the way, when I was still watching movies, I really liked this movie. I liked the whole Bruce Willis thing, but it really portrays some really raunchy stuff now, and I cringe when I watch it. But this is the poll we put out. Pop quiz, and you might want to look this up yourself. Armageddon happens when? Before Jesus comes, after the saints are taken to heaven, or after the 1,000 years of peace? I think it's fascinating, because where is Armageddon? Well, we just learned that Armageddon happens right after spiritualism, and it's not necessarily a physical fight, but it's interesting. I'm going to let Doug Batchelor actually explain this a little further, because I think it's worth letting him go through it instead of myself. This is what he says. Oof, do I have that clip? I might have this clip. Here it is. Here's what he says about that.
What is the Battle of Armageddon? Where in the Bible does it talk about this last day conflict? You know, there's only one verse in all of the scriptures that uses this word, and it's found in the last book of the Bible.
And they gathered them together to the place called in Hebrew, Armageddon.
The word Armageddon is actually composed of two Hebrew words that are transliterated into Greek. The word Har means mountain, and the word Mageddon means the gathering of the troops. This is very likely pointing to the Valley of Megiddo, a place of many significant battles in ancient Israel's history. This is also the same location of Mount Carmel, where Elijah the prophet had his famous showdown with the prophets of Baal. But will this final Armageddon battle be located in central Israel? For now, let's consider some of the signs in the Bible that help us to know when Armageddon is near.
But you, Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book until the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase.
Oh, such a good production. This is the new final events of Bible prophecy. If you've seen that from a long time ago, it was in SD, and throughout my whole time there, this is my old boss, by the way, Pastor Doug. And so we have been saying this is the biggest product. It sells the biggest, the most copies. Why don't we redo it into HD? And so this is that final copy that they just finished. And it looks really good. I haven't finished the full thing, but I find it interesting that they named it, instead of naming it exactly how it was before, they named it the Final Events of Bible Prophecy. They named it Armageddon, which is exactly what the government is talking about right now. How good is God? I just think that's amazing that this would be finished and produced and named Armageddon, and all of a sudden the government is all about Armageddon at the same time. It's almost as if this is the perfect time to release it. Amazing. I think that's really good. If you haven't seen it yet, I encourage you to go to Amazing Facts and the timeline of what's to come in Bible prophecy. Really good stuff. And that wasn't a commercial for them. I don't get any credit for that or anything like that. I just really enjoyed their production on this. Let's go back a little bit to that that newscast. I want to hear what else they're saying about Armageddon. Here we go.
The complaints were widespread across more than 40 different units, across roughly 30 military installations. And according to one report, the non-commissioned officer wrote to the MRFF that their commander urged us to tell our troops that this was all part of God's divine plan. And he specifically referenced numerous citations out of the book of Revelation, referring to Armageddon and the imminent return of Jesus Christ. And it is very understandable that all of this is coming directly from the top, because Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has enshrined evangelical Christianity at the uppermost levels of the US military, airing monthly prayer meetings throughout the Pentagon. Last year, the Pentagon confirmed to Larson that Hegseth attends a weekly White House Bible study, and it's led by a preacher who says that God commands America to support Israel. And these are the people, again, who are running our country and running our military, and these are the things that they believe.
Fascinating, huh? This is what's going on right now. I've seen a couple different. This is from the Young Turks, so it's not really a newscast, but it is a very popular YouTube broadcast that talks a little bit about what's going on in society right now. It's not something I follow very often, but if you're enjoying this, I do a lot of things around the country, talking specifically at different churches. But what we're doing in the future very soon is going to Washington, D.C. to hand out great controversies, understanding, and little booklets about this coming spiritualism that's happening. So that's going to happen. I didn't write down the date in here, but if you look into my previous broadcast, previous live, I talk about this as well, and that's going to happen in a couple months here. And I encourage you to become part of it with us. Please email me if you're in DC, or if you want to be a part of this in DC. I'm going to be there too, and it's going to be good. Man, it's really loud outside. I apologize for the audio quality today. And we're going to be having the booklet on spiritualism that's available by then. So I've had a couple emails this week asking me about that. Also, I'm going to be in Harrison, Tennessee this week. People have been saying, you don't tell people when you're going to be where. It's on the website, strangenormal.org. And I'm also going to be in Harrison, Tennessee at 9:30 is the presentation in Harrison SDA Church. At 9:30 because they do church service in the early instead of the late. So 9:30 is the presentation, 11 o'clock is the school, and then at the end is potluck or something. So come if you want to, if you're in Tennessee area. So let's get back into it. That was a little of the prereqs that we missed at the beginning. Look at this real quick. Let's bring up this clip. Let's skip that for now. This is back to Darryl. This is back when he was talking about before the elections. Do you remember this? When he was talking about the elections and saying that there are two options. It was either Kamala Harris or no about this. Listen to what he says.
One moment. We are checking something. Because generally speaking, we are not really allowed to comment deeply on your politics. But since things are changing somewhat in the near future, we are checking to see what we are allowed to say. This is what we are allowed to say. The female will lead to open contact. The male will lead to the termination of the United States and World War III. End of comment. Understand that what we have been allowed to do here today is highly unusual and only indicative of the fact that you are closer to contact than you were before.
So, yeah, I see people in the comments. Is he channeling? Yeah, he's channeling. Some people have said that he's faking this, but the weird thing about this is that everything he's saying is indicative of a lot of the channeling that I've seen, and I don't watch it very much, but he says that in the gnashing of the teeth, that was in the new UFO movie, right? When you hear that weird grinding noise of that weather girl up there, very strange that was happening. Should I stop tonight? Should we do this tomorrow night when it's not raining? I see a lot of people saying that this is buffering and it has cut off. If it has, we can redo this whole thing, and I'm willing to just jet out of here. We'll just chat a little bit and we'll cut. Give me number 1 if you want me to continue. Give me number 2 if you think that it's buffering way too much and we need to jet. One. Okay, we'll do 1. Let's do it then. Let's keep going. Hopefully you guys can kind of understand what's going on here. I wish I could record this and just fix it at the upload, but and hopefully it's not too bad. But let's keep going. So I think it's interesting that this doesn't tell us the future. I don't like to use these guys as an idea of predicting the future, but what I do use it is if there's a crazy guy on the corner and he's screaming something, it's good to take note of, because this is their plan. This is the ideas that spiritualism has, and they are presenting to their followers here on earth. Things are very short now, and so they're just dishing it out and saying, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. We don't even need Roger Morneau sometimes anymore, but everything he said has been pinnacle and on point, because we're going to see this stuff, and it's going to happen, I believe, in the next couple of years, if not months. I think something big is happening right now. But so Darryl Anka, Bashar, that's who that was, and he's saying that if Trump was elected, this is before Trump was elected, he said it will lead to World War III. Well, what are we seeing right now? Yeah, World War III. So I couldn't find the clip, but I have also heard him say, hey, look, it's going to happen anyway, but I wanted to tell you that we were going to experience it first if this was going to happen. And it isn't bizarre. I'm going to get a lot of emails about this, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's bizarre to me that we hit Venezuela, we hit Iran, and now we're going to hit Cuba. What is going on here? What? And it might be completely logical. I'm going to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, because Romans 13 says, honor your leaders, even though I don't agree with everything they do. I think it's important to note that something broke here, not necessarily mentally, but inside the Pentagon or something. What was the meeting when they said, yep, I think we need to go to war with everybody at the same time? Not getting political, but just interesting that all this is happening right now, and they're also talking about Armageddon. Again, not saying Armageddon is a physical, but it is definitely something that is fascinating to consider. This is where it's going. And what I mean by that is all these false prophets, particularly of the Pentecostal nature. I'm really, really, really pound Pentecostal bad, because we've seen in ufology, we've seen in the New Age where they have this light language. It's the same thing as the Pentecostals speaking in tongues. It sounds exactly the same. It's nonsense, and it's not what the Bible has anything to do with. At least not the Christians of the Bible. Boy, I'm off on rabbit trails tonight. Let's continue, because I have a lot to show you tonight. Trump, Iran, retaliation, all this stuff is happening, I guess, in our lifetime. This is really interesting.
Max, let me repeat what President Trump said when asked if Americans should be worried about attacks here at home. Quote, I guess, but I think they're worried about that all the time. We think about it all the time. We plan for it. But yeah, we expect some things. Like I said, some people will die. When you go to war, some people will die.
So be very careful. Now, I want to give everyone counsel here. If you have been studying the church writings, if you studied external writings beyond Scripture, understanding prophecy, read what I say carefully, or listen to what I'm saying carefully. I know there's a quote out there that talks about how at the end of time, we need to be careful in going into big gatherings, fairs, and big areas. I can't find it. I haven't put a lot of work into finding it, but I know that's out there. And, back 15, 20 years ago when I was studying this stuff from the idea of Islam, I wondered if it was going to have these individual bombers that would go out and destroy people. I'm wondering that again. I can't believe it. Now that we've attacked Iran, I'm sure there's going to be something terrible happen. So this isn't fear porn, but I think all God's people need to be smart about what they do and don't just go out and into this entertainment nonsense where there's a lot of people, because you could be caught up in something very bad. I mean, we've had people that just shoot up theaters before, and I'm not saying that a small gathering of people. I'm talking about big gatherings. Be very, very careful. Satan is looking to destroy particularly God's people and use the other worldlings as just as minions. We have to reach those people. But at the same time, we have to be smart about how we do it and where we go. So my heart goes out to you. That's all. Be very careful about where you go, especially since we're in some weird times now. And being led by Pentecostal preachers that are saying that the Armageddon is coming upon us. This is Paula White. You've probably seen this clip before. This is you see her at the top there, putting her hand on Trump. She has her own office at the government. Trump, and I lost it. There it is. White House Faith Office Senior Paula White. This is a clip of her.
Wherever I go, God rules. When I walk on White House grounds, God walks on White House grounds. I had every right and authority to declare the White House as holy ground because I was standing there, and where I stand is holy. To tell you what my thoughts are, the thoughts of the King of Kings, the thoughts of the Lord of Lords. I'm downloading heaven.
I say as a Christian, it should be mandated to go to Israel before you get to heaven.
Prime Minister and First Lady Sarah, I'm just so honored to be sitting up here with, I believe, God's chosen for everyone.
Wherever I go, God rules. When I walk on White House grounds, God walks on White House grounds. When I go into the dry cleaner, that dry cleaning place becomes holy. I had every right and authority to declare the White House as holy ground because I was standing there, and where I stand is holy.
I don't know how you can take that any other way than absolutely incorrect. Oh, man. I understand it's gone beyond the name it and claim it idea and gone into absolute chaos. And so this is the idea she's bringing to Trump and to our leadership, that, hey, wherever you go, because you're doing it in God's name, it is holy. You want to go and kill people? Well, it is holy. That is absolutely incorrect. I disagree with that 100%. And so this is the state of our government currently. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying the government's bad. I'm not saying that there's a problem with anything that's happening currently, but I think that there is definitely issues that need to be corrected. Understand what I'm saying here. And this Paula White thing is one of them. And going out and saying, you know what, hey, people are going to die. It's just, I guess, that's where we're at. So let's be careful, though, about interpreting what Armageddon is as current Bible prophecy, but also keep our Bible lenses on real quick while we go through this life, because this is nuts, folks. This is what Doug says as a little aside understanding about what Armageddon is. Watch this.
Now, people need to be careful not to superimpose the ancient borders of Persia, or, if we read in the last chapter of last section of Daniel 11. People are looking there because once you get to chapter 12, Michael stands up, time of trouble, resurrection, it's the end. And they look at the last verses in Daniel chapter 11, and it mentions all these Muslim countries, Ethiopia, Libya, and the Edomites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Egyptians. People are saying, is this it? Are we reading Daniel 11 right now? Well, the borders of those countries have changed a lot from Bible times. Jordan completely covers the area that was Edom, Moab, and Ammon. And there probably is a spiritual application there because the Edomites, Moabites, and Ammonites were loosely related to the Israelites through Abraham. So I just want to caution people about trying to read. I'm listening to some of my evangelical friends, and they're going, this is it. Iran is mentioned in the Battle of Ezekiel, along with Gog and Magog, the Persians anyway. And they're saying, this is it. We're leading up China, Russia, Gog, Magog, Persians. And the Chinese are worried about their oil, and the Russians are worried about their oil flow right now. And this is going to be the start of World War III.
Could it be? It could very well be the start of World War III if we continue going to war with every single nation on planet Earth. And for what purpose? I'm not exactly sure yet. I trust the administration for now, but I know that in the future, because we know Bible prophecy, that it's not trustworthy always, because this country will speak like a dragon but look like a lamb, right? Because that's what it says in Revelation. This right here, I believe what Doug says, Pastor Doug says. This is something that we need to be watched very carefully, right? But I also think that what's going on right now with current politics is very dangerous, especially when you hear different news clips all saying the same thing, as if it is propaganda being pushed out by the government itself, like this.
This is a short-term disruption for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain be for long-term gain.
We're going to have some short-term pain with long-term gain.
Short-term pay for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain, yes, but we've got some long-term gain. Short-term spike for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain for American consumers. We may have to deal with that in the short term.
Short-term and temporary.
Temporary, short-term pain.
It's going to suck in the short term.
Some short-term pain.
Short-term pain. We have to focus on the short term.
Short-term.
Short-term. Short-term. Short-term and long-term.
Short-term blip.
Hopefully this is a short-term pain. Short-term is highly outweighed of the long-term benefits.
Some short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain.
I'm sure they had no same script at all. It's just a coincidence, right? Of course. It's just a coincidence. Why would it be anything else? We've seen this happen before, where someone pushes out a letter or a soundbite. They want all the newscasters across all the nations to say the exact same thing so that it calms the people's nerves. And it ends up not calming the nerves of those who are watching, because absolutely this, if they're pushing out that everyone needs to calm down, why? Maybe we need to calm up. All the while, we're not just experiencing the ideas of this war thing, but we're also having fireballs coming through the sky. Now, this is literal fireballs. I'm not talking about spiritualism at this point. This week has been littered with things like this.
One last thing to cover is that we did have this fireball just now, the past few hours, fly over the Netherlands. So this fireball coming in, we just had, I think, 2 back-to-back in like 2 days over Canada. So we are entering this time frame of us being in the debris stream of interstellar object 3I Atlas. I can show you that really quick. I've talked about it before. We don't know how much we may get from this. That's really the open question mark. But we are certainly in the time frame. If we were to get debris from 3I Atlas, now would be the time. So let me show you. Here we have our live view of interstellar object 3I Atlas. and we see it's getting very close to Jupiter. This is actually forward a few days. Let me go back to today. It's going to have its closest approach to Jupiter. This is a very benevolent thing, I think. On the 16th, we'll go forward to that. Right here is its closest approach to Jupiter, and you'll notice that Earth, at this point in time, is passing within this region that 3i Atlas moved through back in October, November. Okay? If we go back to that, you'll see it right here. Here's October, there's November, boom, it's out. So we're not going directly through the trail, but remember there was massive jets on 3i Atlas, and the radiative force from the sun doesn't push everything away, only pushes away grains of a small enough size. If things are bigger, larger grains, pebbles, whatever, they can then circle into the sun. They will have some acceleration going this way, of course, because of the momentum of 3i Atlas in the beginning, but also remember there was this anti-velocity jet that we called the sunward jet for a long time, blasting off this direction.
All right, so I think that's fascinating because we talked about last time how we see in Bible prophecy, in Matthew 24 talks about in school that it was 1 6-mile long asteroid or comet or collision with the Earth that caused all the dinosaurs to die. What if just saying, we know this is going to happen in Bible prophecy where things are moved out of their places. Could it be that something happens that kind of moves everything out of their places, but doesn't cause total annihilation of on the Earth? Could be. That would really ruin the theories that we've all been taught in school. And God's like, you know what? The Bible's true, guys. It has nothing to do with evolution or the destruction of the dinosaurs in that way. I realize there are many hypotheses about this. But what we know is that things celestially will happen at the end. And we have things happening right now. We also have that lady. Remember Carol Rosin? I'm not going to show the clip of her. I don't have a clip of her, and I don't believe that she is something you can use as proof of anything. Only proof we have is the Word of God. But I do think it's interesting that she was in communication with this guy who it seems was able to do spiritual stuff, like talk to her in her ear. What is his name? The rocketry guy. You guys in the chat will know, and then I'll find it. But I can't remember the top of my head. It's completely blank. Carol Rosin and that guy, whatever his name is. Anyways, let's move on. Warner von Braun. There we go. Thank you, Lead Eviz 3924. Warner von Braun. There you go. Process. Let's go into Professor Jing for a second. If you've been watching the news at all, you've run across this guy named Professor Jing who predicted. I don't think he has some spiritualism working with him at this time. But he's looking back at history. He has his own YouTube channel. He's a professor at a university, and he's like, look, you can tell what's going to happen next by looking at history and understanding what is happening here. Let me tell you what I know, and he's been right twice or 3 times now about what's going on. So everyone's talking about him. Let me just give you an introduction to him real quick, so you know what I'm talking about. This guy did a great introduction. Watch this.
This guy on YouTube basically predicted everything that's happening right now in Iran, and what he says happens after Iran is wild. So get this. Before any of this started, he said that Trump would win the election in 2024.
First is that Trump will win in November.
Okay, maybe that one's kind of easy, but then he basically predicted that J.D. Vance would be vice president.
I often think that there's a very good chance he picks J.D. Vance as well, okay?
And then he predicted that America would invade Iran.
The United States will go to war against Iran.
Okay, and now this one is kind of crazy because he predicts basically word for word how Trump will justify the war in Iran in his State of the Union speech.
Let's pretend that it's March 2027, and Trump goes on TV and explains to the American public why the United States is fighting this war. Okay, and this is what Trump says. For the past year, there have been violent protests in Iran.
Iran is the world's #1 state sponsor of terror and just recently killed tens of thousands of its own citizens on the street as they protested.
Iran has been working very, very hard on developing a nuclear bomb.
It has always been the policy of the United States, in particular, my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon.
Bro is basically using history to predict the future, and what he says happens next: a ground invasion in Iran, and then World War III.
Right, that's exciting, isn't it? So World War III, it could very well be, especially if we keep going to war with all these different countries. And this is what I'm leading up to. Maybe I should just reveal it right now so you guys have time to think about it. I believe we're at the end of time. This is the crux of this whole interview. Let me just bring it in as if it's a close-up on me now. Something's happening, and I think we should think about all things through the Bible. Something big is happening right now. It's unlike anything else that we've seen. We're seeing the soon reappearing of spiritualism. We're seeing things happen in the sky, signs in the heavens, right? We're seeing us go to wars and rumors of wars. All kinds of stuff is going to happen, much, much more and greater than it was before. There are going to be 4 countries that are especially in dire economic need at the end of time. How do we know that the end of time has an economic issue? Well, there's going to be buying and selling issues. I'll track back with this real quick. If the government thinks it's a good idea, hey, the rain stopped. I'm going to turn this gate down a bit so it's not so weird. If there's an issue with buying and selling, then, and that's the crux of the whole issue at the end of time, according to Revelation, then there has to have been an economic issue that caused the governments to say buying and selling would be a good route that the people, to use on the people. Does that make logical sense? So that's the track back from Bible prophecy and understanding this logically. There's an economic problem that leads to, hey, we should just help the people out with the buying and selling issue and make it so that they can't buy and sell unless they do something that's worship related. Particularly, I follow someone I believe is very prophetic, and hopefully I can find the clip in here right now. I'm going to go through it real quick to see if I can find it. We are on clip 130, actually 13. This, I'm totally off script and out of order because I think this is important. This is a quote from 5MR. I don't remember what MR is, but it says, in India, China, Russia, and the cities of America, thousands of men and women are dying of starvation. So it's an economic issue, right? This is right before Michael stands up, a civil war. Manuscript release. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to wait for this to stop freezing. I'm going to read this one more time. In India, China, Russia, and the cities of America, thousands of men and women are dying of starvation. The moneyed men, because they have the power, control the children of the people. And there shall be a time of trouble such as there never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at this time thy people shall be delivered, everyone at that shall be found written in the book. So I'm talking about the book of life here. Many shall be purified and made white and tried. Let's think about that for a second. I think that's important. Do you have issues that you're dealing with? It might seem cliche to say, but it's because God loves you. And those people that you're mad at, they don't get that opportunity. Think about that for a second. Those people that you're so mad at might not make it because they didn't get the opportunity to go through what they're putting you through. Let's continue reading a little bit. So it says, many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. The wise will understand. I hope you're one of the wise too. Let's continue through this. I know I'm completely off script, but this is kind of the crux of my thoughts tonight. Something is coming, and it's pushing towards an economic failure of society. Think about that as we go through this. All right, let's go a little further into the predictions of this guy. I'm kind of curious, not saying that he is right or wrong yet, but I think it's interesting to dig into. So here we go.
You made three big predictions. 1, that Trump would win. 2, that he would start a war with Iran. And 3, that the U.S. would lose that war. Quite a stunning prediction. Do you stand by it?
The reality is that right now, it's a war of attrition between the United States and Iran. And the Iranians have been preparing 20 years for this conflict. And now they have a pretty good strategy of how to weaken and ultimately destroy the American empire. So what the Iranians are doing is they're waging war against the entire global economy. And so they are striking the GCC countries. They're going after the critical energy infrastructure. They blocked off the Strait of Hormuz. And eventually, they will go after the water desalination plants, which is the lifeblood of these nations because they don't have fresh water supply. The Iranians are actually threatening the very existence of Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar.
Meanwhile, the United States is like this.
B-2s, B-52s, B-1s, Predator drones, fighters, controlling the skies, picking targets. Death and destruction from the sky, all day long. We're playing for keeps. Our warfighters have maximum authorities granted personally by the president and yours truly. Our rules of engagement are bold, precise, and designed to unleash American power, not shackle it. This was never meant to be a fair fight, and it is not a fair fight. We are punching them while they're down, which is exactly how it should be.
Okay, so if you walked in on a movie of life and you just came in a little bit late after getting popcorn, you were like, not saying we should go to the theater, I'm just saying this is a good analogy. You're thinking about this and going, oh, okay, I know who the bad guys are now. You kick them while they're down. This is not characteristics of the righteous. Take 2 steps back for a second. I know I'm going to get some comments that are just mad at me because you guys are very, very focused on your tribes. I'm not political. I'm going to call the shots as they are called. If something bad is going on in society, then I'm going to look critically at it. I don't think it's necessary that we're just blowing up everything here. I think things could have been strategic, but at the same time, things have to happen according to how the Bible allows them to happen. God's going to allow complete Satan's control at the end of time. Allow it to happen. And that's going to happen just like that. So this is what the rest of the guy says about it. Let's listen real quick.
Important is that the Gulf states are really the linchpin of the American economy. So what they do is they sell petrodollars and then they recycle the petrodollars back into the American economy through the investments in the stock market. And right now, we know that the entire American economy is propped up by AI investments in data centers. And a lot of that comes from the Gulf states. So if the Gulf states are no longer able to sell oil and they're no longer able to finance AI, this AI bubble in the United States, then this AI bubble will burst, and with it will burst as well the entire American economy, which is really a financial Ponzi scheme.
So think about that for a second. This is very important because if you, as an individual, want to look further out and maybe be away from the absolute chaos that will ensue if the economy dips and people don't have food. I'm not saying that that's going to happen anytime soon, but I'm just saying, as I'm a real estate agent, so these are the things I think about. Hard enough to find country property, probably a good idea to look now. I'm just saying. Don't call me and try to say, hey, we're in the United States, should I go? That's real estate agent can't do that. We can direct you and help you find a location in a location you're going to, but the issue is that it's going to be difficult at the end of time when everyone realizes, because I think it's going to be more than just Christians that realize that the chaos in society, it's time to think about this. Don't go in the middle of nowhere. Maybe 30 minutes out of the city, just enough where the houses aren't close together and you can grow your own food. Yeah, so that you can't be interrupted by enemies that interfere with things. It's time, folks. We're here. It's now, and I'm just saying. It's if we're destroying places because of these bombs, and we have these huge interceptor bombs that come down, splitting into 18,000 pieces, and come down and rain bombs on cities. Don't you think that places that are also our enemy are taking note of how we do these stuff? There's a huge war that's going to happen soon in 2027, they say, with China. It's already scheduled. And China's watching how we do every single war with a little yellow notepad and saying, oh, that's how you do it, huh? 2 major superpowers here. And the 4 I just mentioned in the last quote are going to suffer the most. China, Russia, India, and the cities of America. I know I'm going to scare a lot of people here, but that's not my goal. My goal is because I love you guys, and I think that it's important that we all think about these things. I'm going to take 2 steps back because I've gotten calls before and said, there's no way I can get out of the cities, and there might not be. I've had people tell me that that's only for the rich. That might be. That's why we're counseled to make room for people at the end of time that can't do it. If you are able to, you need to find a place that has availability to build up your barns, to have extra rooms, because there will be times when you need to house people. And you that don't feel that you are able to, you might not be. But in my experience, I'm talking right to some of you right now that feel they cannot. In my experience, it has been you just lack the motivation. I'm not thinking about any particular person. You can close this video if you want. But I do think that God asks us to use our hands to show our faith. Don't go crazy and do something economically incompetent. Like say, hey, I'm just going to buy a house it's out of my budget that I can't afford. Or do something that you're not able to do. But we all need to use our resources to help each other. And it's coming upon the world soon. Okay, not enough of that. I'm sure I'm going to get comments and people mad at me for saying this. But look, anytime I touch on finances, that happens. So if you agree with me, let me hear you in the comments. So let's go back to, well, that would actually bring me to that quote that I was talking about, but I'm not going to show you that anymore. So let's go back to decisions made by religion. This is what Rubio says about those decisions made by religion in the Middle East. This was comical to me, considering everything we've seen so far tonight.
The Ayatollah was a radical cleric. That entire regime is led by radical clerics who don't make geopolitical decisions. They make decisions on the basis of theology, their view of theology, which is an apocalyptic one. That has to be taken very seriously as well.
Oh, man. With Israel to start Armageddon. Could we get any crazier? I just don't know. This is the most strange normal I think I've seen life so far. I have people in the comments saying, please don't talk about me like that. You guys are funny. This is, and I'm about to discredit this guy to some of you, and others will be like, this will amaze you at the same time. So take it how you want. Stephen, please don't talk about me on air. Okay, let me make sure that everything's working well with this before I play this last clip. God bless you, already off grid. Oh, praise the Lord. We need to help others do it for sure. Yeah, there's a great book, Another Ark to Build. We need to get out of here. And this isn't, again, the idea of getting out of the cities. I'm gonna do a full video on this to kind of explain this further, because I think a lot of misunderstanding comes out of this. We aren't to run and hide. We aren't to try to become, monks in some kind of cave somewhere. We are to help the people. But the two big things when looking for something that's further out is, don't be in the middle of a city that's going to be blown up. Am I buffering again? Man, I tell you, this has been a hard night. Don't be in the middle of a city that could be destroyed. Instead, go to some place where the houses aren't close together, where you can grow your own provisions, and where the enemy can't interfere. That's the stipulations. That's what you need to think about. Okay, so this is the last thing this guy says on the news. This is amazing. On Breaking Points, he says, by the way, we can tell by the Epstein files that this whole thing is run by secrets. I believe it.
And the last factor that is very important is the eschatological factor, where if you look at the Epstein files, it's clear that we are run by secret societies. It's clear that the world is run by these individuals who have a lot of power. We don't know who they are, but they control the military. They control the national security apparatus. And these people, there are different names for these people. You can call them the Illuminati. And the Illuminati are composed of three major groups. Okay, you have the Jesuits, who control the Vatican. You have the Sephardim Frankists, which control the modern state of Israel today. And you have the Freemasons, which control the national security apparatus of the United States. And they believe that Israel, this war in the Middle East, is key to the end times in creating heaven on earth. So it's almost like a script that they're following, even though it doesn't make any geopolitical sense. Okay, so I would say that these three are the best reasons why this is happening.
Wow. Well, sir, I hope you come back. This was very informative, I think, for both of us. We deeply appreciate your time. Thank you.
Well, we hope you come back. See, people are still very reluctant to believe that there are other things, rich people that are pulling the strings. And you know how this happens? Let me make this more logical for everybody, because I know people are going to go, oh, okay, Illuminati, you're a conspiracy theorist. I've been called that by some people in my own church. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but this is how this works. This is how the secret society thing works. It's not a society of people with hoods on. This is a group of people unofficially that have a lot of money that just say, you know what, I can pull strings behind the scenes because I have the money to do so and I know the people. All we have to do is say, you know that little kid that you did those terrible things to? We have video of that, and if you don't vote this way, then we might reveal that to your wife, to your family, to the rest of the nation. You might lose your job. Blackmail operations due to people's perversities, due to things that happen, maybe other things too, cause things to happen in society. This is the way Satan works. So call it a satanic society because that's how it happens. And so if you believe in Bible prophecy, if you believe that the world is controlled by evil means, this is one of those evil means that happens like that. So call it Illuminati. Call it the Epstein files. I don't care what you call it. It's evil. And that's how the world runs right now, because this world is not running on the principles of the Bible. 370. I think we're breaking records. We almost went to 400 one time. Folks, I hope this hasn't cut out too much. We had a bad rainstorm come through, and I'm running on Starlink. So we had satellite internet is cutting in and out here. I hope you understood what was happening. We're going to do it further. If you want to see more about country living and stuff, leave me a comment, because I'd love to talk about it. We're out here in the country. I like the country. I think it's much more refreshing than the rest of the concrete jungle. And I love all you, from the people that live in the Big Apple down to Los Angeles. I just scares me to death, because where there's people, there's crime. I remember when I moved out to this place, or when I got married, I told my wife what I want to do, and she's like, no, I'm not living in the country. That's where horror movies are made. Satan has really done something hard to society to make people believe that there's more crime in the country. There's not. Statistically, there's more crime in the city. Statistically, there's one or two weird things that have happened in the country that are very prominent, but statistically, you're going to find more people that are more down to earth and more neighbors that are willing to help you than those who are sitting on the subway. All right, enough of this. My name is Bradley, and I want to pray with you tonight. Let's have a prayer. Father God, thank you for this thoughts that we go out to as we think about these things. I know that you've inspired me to say things in certain orders and guided my tongue and held my tongue as I talked tonight. And I appreciate you. I love you. And I look forward to the day where I'm serving you face to face. Guide these people that are watching. Direct them. Give them wisdom, especially when making big financial decisions. Help them to know, if they pray to you, what to do next. Not by feeling, but by open and closed doors that you can provide. Love you, God, and we look forward to the day where we are serving you face to face, voice to voice. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, folks, if you want to stick around, go ahead and stick around. I'm going to jet out. I need to go to bed. I have a lot of real estate stuff to get done, but my name is Bradley, and this has been Pure Strangeness, absolute normalcy, strange normal. We'll see you.
You're watching Strange Normal, where the truth is the truth.